Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my rooftop deck of reckoning. Today, I've got something I want to get off my chest. It's something that first struck a nerve when I read about it a few days ago. So I'm Aaron, better known by my friends in low places as Mugatu's dad, and this is the Points Reckoning Picture Show. This week, a couple different outlets reported that a woman flying from Paris to Denver, Crystal Tadlock, was fined $500 by Customs and Border Protection for accidentally bringing an undisclosed piece of fruit through immigration, an apple that Delta provided her. As reported by KDVR in Denver, the exchange at the U.S. Port of Entry in Minneapolis went something like this.
He asked me if my trip to France was expensive, and I said, yeah. I didn't really get why he was asking the question, and then he said,
"It's about to get a lot more expensive after I charge you $500.
Now, to be clear, she definitely made a mistake. I think that U.S. agricultural restrictions exist for good reason. That's really not what I wanted to talk about. You see, I find this whole situation a bit absurd for a couple reasons. First, many commenters, especially those on the travel-centric sites that I visit, are placing blame on the airline. In my opinion, this is the least culpable party among all those involved. You know, Delta can only handhold so much. At some point, like when you're no longer on a plane, responsibility has to pass on. Just because someone hands you an apple without an idiot-proof warning label doesn't mean that any negative consequences that come about are then somebody else's fault. I'm assuming they're doing this because airlines are an easy target. It's far easier to say that someone else screwed up than it is to admit that your own government was a bit out of line. Second is the officer's demeanor. If we take Tadlock's story at face value, the officer appeared to like rooting her return journey. I don't believe those who take joy in other people's misery should have any place on the border. This officer was mad at something in life and just wanted to show Miss Tadlock who's boss. So it's not necessarily CPB's inability to be inflexible that bothers me. My guess is that the agency regularly finds small, inadvertently packed agricultural products and allows the accidental transgressor the opportunity to dispose of it. I don't believe this woman was singled out as much as she was unlucky. Finally, I find the repercussions a bit absurd. A $500 fine and a loss of global entry privileges is over the top. From all accounts, this was a mistake. There appeared to be absolutely no intent to do anything wrong, or worse, an ultimately harmless misunderstanding. To add some context, if I'm speeding in my car, the ticket is like $200. In this example, the offense is both intentional and dangerous. Of course, I'm not talking about speed trap style type money grabs. The point being is that this woman is being punished for far more harshly for something far more innocuous. It's ultimately these type of overblown interactions that give American border security such a bad global reputation. There are increasing numbers of foreign tourists that want to visit the U.S. but decide it's just easier to expend their money elsewhere because our system is so cumbersome and often unreasonable. People just don't want to deal with it, and that's real money out of the U.S. economy. Alright, that's all I wanted to talk about today. If you and I are on the same page, hitting that like, share, or subscribe plus notifications button is always appreciated. If we don't, the thumbs down button is available. Alright, we'll see you next week.